If you're looking to start playing Pokemon Go or you're thinking about returning to the game right now, then this video is going to be for you. I'm going to be talking about all the reasons why Pokemon Go is a really good game to play right now and all of the different things that you could look forward to if you're starting up the game. Alright, what's happening everyone? Count Jinsula here with a brand new Pokemon Go video. I hope your day is going really well, and let's get right into it. Alright, so Pokemon Go is a game that's been out for pretty much almost 10 years at this point. Next year is going to be the 10th anniversary for Pokemon Go, and the game has certainly changed quite a bit over the years. I mean, if you're someone who used to play Pokemon Go, you might be familiar with some of the mechanics that are currently in the game, but I will say that if you quit Pokemon Go, maybe around COVID time or sometime before even then, you're going to find that the game is completely different. There's definitely going to be certain aspects that are going to be familiar, but there's going to be a lot of other aspects that are not necessarily something you would expect. So in this video, I want to go over some of the things that have been a big change in Pokemon Go, and if you're a new player, someone who is going to be jumping into the game today, you're going to find that these are some of the things that you're going to find to be the most enjoyable. So let's start this off by first talking about the most recent new addition to Pokemon Go, and that is the new leveling system. For returning players, you might not be aware, but you can actually level up your trainer to level 80, and this means you're going to have a more steady stream of rewards as you play, and there's going to be a really high-end goal for you to work towards. So I do think this alone is a good reason for you to come back to the game, and if you're someone who's going to be starting Pokemon Go for the very first time, there is definitely going to be a lot for you to do, and I do think the new leveling system is a huge improvement to Pokemon Go, especially compared to what we had before. Now, another thing you could look forward to is, of course, the plethora of new Pokemon that has been released over the years. We have plenty of different species you can encounter right now, but there's also a lot of incredibly powerful Pokemon that you can get from raid battles, like Mega Rayquaza, Crown Form Zacian and Zamazenta, the fusion forms for Kyurem and Necrozma, Origin Form Dialga and Palkia, Primal Groudon, Primal Kyogre, just to name a few. These are all super powerful Pokemon, and compared to the legendaries that we've had in the past, they're going to be a step above, and I do think that whenever they are in raid battles, you will definitely want to raid for them. Now, unfortunately, most of these super powerful Pokemon aren't going to be obtainable right away. Even if you trade for some of them, you will need certain resources like Fusion Energy and Mega Energy in order to get these super powerful forms, but regardless, there are going to be a lot of Pokemon you can catch within the wild. So I do think ultimately, if you're just starting off in the game or you're returning after a long hiatus, there's going to be a lot of Pokemon for you to catch, and you could do that until these super powerful Pokemon return to raids, which is definitely going to happen. Next up, let's talk about some of the things that have been major improvements to Pokemon Go's gameplay. First and foremost, we gotta talk about raid battles. So, raid battling is what a lot of players would consider to be the core gameplay for Pokemon Go, and certainly that is true, even to this day. Raid battles are how you can get legendary Pokemon and some of the most powerful Pokemon, but it's also a way for you to just actually utilize the Pokemon that you put work into. So for all the Stardust and candies that you spend on those powerful Pokemon that you obtain, they're going to be put to use in raids. So it's essentially the progression mechanic for Pokemon Go. But I will say that raid battles are so much better than it was before. If you're a newer player, you might notice there's a plethora of different quality of life improvements. First and foremost, there is now a ready button in raid battles, so you do not have to stay for the entire 120-second duration of the raid lobby. This is going to allow you to do even more raids, and let's say you have a full group of 20 players, you're going to be able to start right away and not waste time in an unnecessary lobby. And then of course, there's going to be remote raids. This is something that a lot of players probably were familiar with back in the day. Unfortunately, they did nerf remote raiding, so if you're returning to the game after experiencing the original remote raiding mechanic, well, you're gonna find that remote raiding is not as great as it used to be. However, they did add a lot of different mechanics that are quality of life improvements, like for example, being able to join remote raids from your friends list. So if you still want to do remote raiding, let's say if you live in a rural area, you're going to have much easier access compared to before, and I think that is definitely something that you will enjoy. Niantic also gave us the ability to RSVP for raids ahead of time. So let's say there is a gym nearby and you see a raid egg appear at that gym, you could actually RSVP for that raid before it hatches, and other players in the area are also going to see your RSVP. And when they see it, they're also going to RSVP and they're going to know that there will actually be trainers at that raid and they will join you. This is something that I've personally utilized to great success, and I do think it was a mechanic that definitely was a huge improvement to the raiding system. And then finally, I want to talk about Niantic Campfire. It's definitely something that can be utilized for raid battles. It's kind of like a supplementary app that Niantic released that is kind of like a way for you to communicate with other players around you. There's actually a button within the game where you could actually access Niantic Campfire directly from Pokemon Go. But within Campfire, you're actually going to see a whole bunch of gyms through a map, and you're going to be able to know when certain raids are hatching and whether or not other players are interested in that raid. You could also communicate with other players in your local area and be able to form a group and do a whole bunch of other things. It's a really great tool, and I think it's very much underutilized, so I do think that if you are to start up Pokemon Go, you should also download Niantic Campfire and get that set up. Now, other than raid battles, Niantic has actually made some vast improvements to other areas of the game, such as the Buddy Adventure system. For any player who is returning to Pokemon Go, you probably remember the Buddy Adventure system as an incredibly grindy and time-consuming mechanic, but there's actually ways for you to get additional buddy hearts through just general gameplay, and just in general, it just feels like the gameplay is just a lot more streamlined. So if you want to collect buddy hearts to get your Pokemon to best buddies, it's actually going to be a much more enjoyable experience. Okay, so on top of Niantic making vast improvements to certain mechanics, they've also added new mechanics that also greatly improve your daily Pokemon Go play. One notable example is the addition of the Daily Adventure Incense. This free daily use incense lasts for 15 minutes and will only spawn Pokemon if you are moving between locations. So it doesn't necessarily operate like your traditional incense, which can spawn Pokemon at your location even if you do not move. This one is going to require you to actually travel distances. However, the nice thing about this special incense is that it has its own dedicated list of Pokemon that it can spawn, and most of those Pokemon are quite uncommon, and depending on how much you are moving, the spawn rate can be incredibly frequent. And something else you need to keep in mind is that this incense is also how you can get the incredibly rare and highly coveted Galarian legendary birds, which can definitely be a great collector's item, and in some cases, one of the best Pokemon you will have for PvP. They also added plenty of other really great mechanics, like the Go Pass, which gives you various rewards for completing different tasks, as well as special items related to the Go Pass, like the Lucky Trinket, gold and silver bottle caps, which actually allows you to increase the IVs of your Pokemon, and plenty of other things that are on the horizon. So I do think overall, the gameplay does feel a lot more rewarding, especially if you just want some incentives for just doing mundane tasks, like catching Pokemon and spinning Pokestops. And then finally, this is something I really want to highlight, but Niantic actually added something called Party Play, which is a way for you to actually group up with other players and actually see them within your game. And you can actually get a whole bunch of various rewards for playing together. Now, one of the main uses for Party Play is that if you were to raid together with your Party Play group, you will actually have access to a unique power-up, which can allow you to take on more difficult raid bosses with less players. So if your aim is to start playing Pokemon Go or return to Pokemon Go with friends and family, you will find that there are many ways you can have a fun group outing experience through the game. So yeah, all of this might seem incredibly overwhelming, but it actually won't be too difficult for you to get used to. What you simply need to know is that playing Pokemon Go nowadays is a much more enjoyable experience compared to before. There are certainly flaws within the game, but I do think at the core, Pokemon Go can be a great experience if you play with friends and family. It's definitely worth checking out if you are someone who is interested in playing Pokemon Go, or if you're thinking about returning to Pokemon Go, now is a really great time to do that. So yeah, there you have it. This is everything that's going on in Pokemon Go that I feel like a lot of newer players and returning players are definitely going to enjoy. But let me know your thoughts regarding everything that I talked about. Is there something in particular that you feel like definitely stands out? If you're someone who's been playing the game consistently for the past couple of years, what are some of the things that you have actually enjoyed that other players should definitely be aware of? Definitely mention all of that in the comments down below, and let's have a great discussion. And thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. If you really enjoyed it, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And also don't forget the notification bell so you know exactly exactly when I upload videos. And real quick, let me give a shout out to every single one of my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support the Jinsula channel, the best way you could do that is going to be by joining my Patreon. And if you decide to become a paid Patreon member, I'm actually going to personally add you to my Pokemon Go friends list. So that means for stuff like remote raids, the friendship system, all that good stuff within Pokemon Go. If you want to play Pokemon Go with me, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. I'll put a link to it in the description below. And if you want to support my channel in a completely different way, you could always do so by following me on social media. My handle is @Jinsula. I'm on the platforms you see right now on the bottom of your screen. Make sure you go over there and give me a follow, and that'll be a huge help to my channel. And you'll have access to some exclusive content. And that's going to be it for this video. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself today, and I'll catch you all later.